This episode is brought to you by In Life with major sponsor Airspeed International. Welcome everyone to the Ultimate FinTech Forum 2022. The world is changing. Everything from being paid to getting paid is going to be different, and very, very soon. It's all around the corner. So let's get everybody up to date on what's going on and implementing what we need to do, because our businesses and lives even are at stake. So glad to have you with us. This is the Ultimate FinTech Forum 2022. We are pleased to have John Januszak. I hope I got that right, but the CEO of UBX. And if you don't know, this is the FinTech division of Union Bank, who everybody says is the big cheese in FinTech, doing a lot to drive the country ahead toward financial inclusion. So please welcome John Januszak of UBX. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks for having me here. It's an honor to be here with the Ultimate FinTech Forum. I'm with UBX, and as you mentioned, we are the FinTech venture that was spun out of Union Bank of the Philippines. I'm excited to share how UBX is responding to help the Central Bank of the Philippines in their drive for open finance and financial inclusion. So Richard, the basic underlying premise of open banking is that the data held by banks and financial service providers on their customers belongs to their customers. Open finance refers to the sharing and leveraging of customer permission data among banks and other financial institutions and third parties to build innovative financial solutions. At the same time, when you look at the entire world today, 2 billion have no bank accounts at all, and the remaining 4.5 billion have limited access to financial services. For UBX, our vision is opportunity and access for all. Our tagline is include everyone. And for UBX, open banking is definitely about the other 6.5 billion. Going digital is becoming a necessity in order to survive and thrive. Opportunity and access to needed technology and digitally enabled services has become apparent. We need to include everyone. We believe that data, in particular, consent-driven data portability, can be an equalizer in terms of providing access and opportunity to heretofore excluded individuals, businesses, and communities. Financial inclusion means both access to financial products, like having a transaction account, and usage. For example, using that account to make transfers and manage money rather than merely withdrawing funds once a month. By providing access to transaction data and enabling low-value payments, open banking can help foster innovation that targets the underbanked, offering legitimate alternatives to inefficient and ineffective financial practices which target the poor today. So for example, let's talk about banking the gig economy, an economy that has really taken off over the last couple of years here in the Philippines. So for the gig economy, open banking means not just access to digital accounts and wallets and digital payment instruments. Gig economy platforms themselves can embed and extend nano loans, microinsurance, based on the workers' activities on their platforms. So that's just but one example, but the main takeaway is that an open finance framework drives innovation. According to Governor Diokno of the Central Bank, the open finance framework allows for greater reach to more clients and partners, encourages the entry of more players, and increases the number of financial service offerings. Consumers will have the power to grant access to their financial data, allowing more parties to participate in the financial ecosystem, giving customers the ability and the right to reuse their financial data in new and innovative ways. At about the same time as other jurisdictions started making moves on open banking a few years ago, we at UBX noticed a few things. One, Digital platforms were acquiring customers at scale and at a scale far surpassing that of traditional financial institutions. Number two, more and more, these platforms were facilitating the activities and experiences that truly matter to individuals and businesses. Three, this is readily reflected in the value ascribed to tech over banking in the capital markets. So we set out to build digital platforms for digitally and financially underserved communities not being addressed by big tech, while at the same time aggregating and virtualizing financial services for embedding into our platforms and the platforms of others. Our CCAP lending platform has registered over 50,000 micro and small and medium-sized enterprises and has processed over 6 billion pesos worth of business loans with an open end-to-end digital lending experience that matches borrowers with 13 different lenders, with more lenders joining every day. CCAP is embedded into popular platforms that merchants rely on every day, such as Lazada and Foodpanda. Bucks, our embeddable payments platform, powers over 100,000 businesses, giving them access to the widest array of payment options through a single platform and API, including the largest aggregation of over-the-counter locations in the country, making even cash payments digital for the merchant and digital to the last mile for consumers. Centro has allowed over 30,000 local merchants get online and start selling in literally minutes with digital payments and delivery integrated out of the box. UBX's Eye-to-Eye connects hundreds of financial institutions and thousands of community-based financial service providers to each other, to the national retail payment system, and to the domestic remittance networks of the country, supporting a multiplicity of digital banking services such as real-time payments, mobile ATM, insurance, and digital lending. If the interoperability between financial institutions on Eye-to-Eye as a platform for accelerating financial innovation sounds like open finance, you'd be right. Putting all of this together, for the last 2.5 years, UBX has innovated around an open finance framework. It is purposely designed to enable the customer's financial journey, enabling them with a low hurdle way to create a financial footprint, a channel for credit should they need it, and access to funds by establishing interoperability between hundreds of financial institutions and thousands of community-based financial service providers. Within this ecosystem of interrelated financial services, data subjects can move seamlessly from one service to another. This aggregation of and interoperability between financial service providers behind a single API is really an example of market-driven open finance infrastructure, allowing platforms, fintechs, and merchants to leverage and innovate across UBX services. In other jurisdictions, we've seen that open finance is occurring along two dimensions. For example, in the United States and China, mostly market pull up to now through solutions like Mint, Plaid, WeChat, and Alipay. In the UK and Europe, a heavy regulatory push with mandatory participation through CMA9 and PSD2 respectively, with a commensurate market pull through digital challenger banks. And in some jurisdictions like Mexico, with their new fintech law, we are seeing a regulatory push ahead of a market pull. We see many of these jurisdictions as open finance leaders, and we see UBX's existing traction representing a market pull that highly complements the regulation-driven push by the BSP with their open finance framework. Just like we connected hundreds of smaller financial institutions to the national retail payment system through Eye-to-Eye, we can leverage this reach to include the long tail of financial services and the financial services ecosystem in open finance here in the Philippines. We allow smaller players to leapfrog across the scaling gap to get them to a technology level that can place them in some aspects at par with the biggest players. We can include everyone. Smaller financial institutions, non-banks, other service providers, and most importantly, their customers in the innovation promised by open finance day one. And today, Richard, I'm excited to announce Expanse, UBX's open finance infrastructure that opens the UBX infrastructure and aggregation of financial services and providers to developers. Not just consent-driven, but customer self-sovereignty at core, leveraging our blockchain-based Akin technology. The ability to leverage a decentralized finance friendly store of value through a BSP-approved stablecoin, PHX, and access to a decentralized real-time blockchain-based grid through our eye-to-eye network. Expanse will not just connect developers to programmable financial services across hundreds of financial institutions in the Philippines and customers to innovation through control of their data. It will connect customers and traditional financial markets to the world's most innovative financial operating system and the future of banking. This is the opportunity before us. The UBX is responding to help the central banks drive for open finance and financial inclusion. We are promoting the adoption of innovative solutions and services through our platforms, and now UBX expands to include everyone. So Richard, I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank the Ultimate FinTech Forum for, in a way, partnering with us on this mission. And I'd like to thank everyone here today for sharing in our vision of opportunity and access for all. And if I may, I'd like to close by posing a question. What happens when we connect all 110 million Filipinos to a global economy without any barrier to access?
Wow, thanks, John. Yeah, a lot going on, and I'm glad you talked about the gig economy, because that's such a big opportunity, especially for Philippines, but also this thing you have about data privacy and data ownership. John, why is that such or do we not have that now? I know on Facebook now you can get what they say is the information they have on us, and it's quite comprehensive information, but what can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, the idea behind open finance is really that the financial data, in this case, collected on individuals, belongs to the individual. So the first, the first stage, or at least part of the first stage, is kind of like your Facebook example, giving people access to their data. But it goes further. It's actual ownership of the data. And what that means is that the people who are stewarding or holding that data on you have to make it easy for you to access that data and to grant consent or to allow others at your discretion access to the data that they may be holding on you. And for UBX, this is the idea behind our platform. Our platform is open by design, and we are enabling financial institutions and financial service providers to make the data accessible and portable across all of the service providers, for example, that use our platform today at the discretion of the customer.
What else do people need to really start becoming employed and being paid with jobs overseas?
I mean, I guess at a very fundamental or basic level, financial technology. So just put open finance to the side for a moment. Financial technology is absolutely facilitating the ability, for example, to perform work in one jurisdiction and in a cost-effective way, move money or move a payment. So let's say you're getting paid from someone who is overseas, and how do you get that? It's like a remittance, but how do you do that? How do you do that at scale and do it in a very, cost-effective way? And so fintech companies, for example, are innovating on payments, including cross-border payments, to make that happen. And in fact, with our Bucks Payments platform, we provide innovation, exactly along those lines, as do many others. But let's take it one step further. And this is what we mean by open finance and the sharing of data with the consent of the consumer. You can imagine that, for example, a Filipino gig worker, a freelancer, is working off of a platform like Fiverr, yes, or Upwork, and they're doing work for clients globally around the world. Now, as that freelancer builds his business, he may, for example, for many reasons, need access to credit. I think it's very difficult to walk into a bank today and explain that you're a freelancer on Fiverr, and therefore you have the means and the ability to handle a certain amount of credit. But through open finance and through platforms like what UBX is building, we can embed credit from a multiplicity of lenders and financial service providers directly into a platform like one of these freelancer platforms. And the freelancer, the gig worker, can authorize the sharing of their work data from that platform, and the lender can use that quote unquote transactional data to understand the capability or the capacity of that freelancer to pay back the credit that they would be inclined to extend them. In fact, I would even argue two things. Number one, it's going to be a much better customer experience because it's digital and it can happen online, and it can happen directly in the platform that's important, for example, to the freelancer. But it's also, I think it's also better credit risk, because with the consumer or with the freelancer's consent, they have access to, near real-time data on the performance, for example, of their freelancing business. And I think that takes a lot of the risk out of extending a loan. So better, and this is what I mean about open finance driving innovation: better customer experience, lower risk, and at the end of the day, more opportunity and access for all.
And thank you again, John. Really good to have you from UBX. Please welcome our next guest is Todd Schweitzer, the CEO of Broncos. This is an organization that is all about open banking, really connecting organizations to people in the way they want it to be connected. He has a regional operation working with many of the region's financial institutions, but he himself is based in Philippines because he sees big opportunities here. So with an interesting story and an interesting fellow, please welcome Todd Schweitzer of Broncos.
Thank you so much, Richard, and good day to everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share just a few minutes on open finance and the opportunity for fintech ecosystem development in the Philippines. As Richard said, I'm based here in Manila. It's really heated up as a hub for fintech innovation in the last year or so, and it's been really exciting to be witness to that. But Broncos is actually a regional company. So we launched first in Indonesia in 2016 and have since expanded now in the Philippines, as well as Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore, and more to come later this year. So first off, I want to share this chart because I think it sets the scene. Southeast Asia banking customers are underserved very transparently. In fact, in the Philippines, less than 50% of adults have a bank account. And even among that 50%, a minority of them actually are able to use their bank account day to day for banking. I mean, many of them just use it and withdraw funds, and they're not able to develop a credit history. They don't qualify for loan products, or at least not in an efficient way. And so there's really an opportunity for non-bank and neobank participants to actually serve those customers that have been underserved by the incumbents, frankly speaking. Open finance is based on two main principles, from my point of view at least. Number one is that customers should own their financial data, which means if I develop a transaction history with a remittance company, or I have my payroll history passing through my bank account, I should be able to easily share that data with a third party for the purposes of credit scoring, for the purposes of applying for a mortgage. I should be able to easily access that. And easily accesses means electronically, digitally, with my consent, I should be able to share that data with a third party. Identity data too, which is in the Philippines, of course, there's new developments with online ID, but still most financial products, you have to go through a full know your customer KYC process. So being able to share my identity information in a secure way is really an enabler. Number two, customers should be able to access their financial products beyond bank-owned channels, which means if I live out in a province where there's only one bank that has a physical branch, I should still be able to access my bank products online without necessarily needing to, log in and register to the bank's app or go to a bank's ATM. I should have flexibility in how and where I access the products that I've signed up for. And it's worth noting that this is directly supported by the BSP governor, Diokno, who pointed out in August of last year that open finance enables affordable services that fit their needs and promotes consent-driven data portability, interoperability, and collaborative partnerships between financial institutions and fintechs. And so that's what open finance is really enabling. Okay, so now for definition. So open finance in the Broncos definition are technology, products, and policies that enable customers to securely use financial services from qualified third-party providers. This changes the whole economics of financial services. Number one, it changes the way financial products are developed because now a bank, instead of building a digital app, they can connect an API to a fintech partner who can actually build that app and attract those customers on the bank's behalf. Number two, it changes the way financial products are distributed because now instead of building a physical branch and running cash trucks, you can actually plug in partners who can do the onboarding on your behalf. Number three, it changes the way financial products are monetized because now banks can offer new revenue streams like subscription, usage-based fees, platform fees. You were seeing many banks build something of an app store to support third-party financial products to their own customers. So what does this look like? This looks like API providers, which could be a bank, it could be an e-wallet, it could be a remittance company, it could even be a telco. They're the ones providing the financial services or the data available via API. And then there are API users who are the businesses or the startups or the apps or even other financial service providers that are connecting into those APIs to provide customers more choice on which financial products they can access. Now, this is where Broncos plays a key role because we are aggregating that technology to provide a simple pipe where those API providers can easily connect with API users without each of them connecting one by one. So it's aggregation, but it's aggregation using secure APIs that's compliant with the BSP, with the National Privacy Commission, and other bodies. And there's a lot of kind of interesting tech behind the scenes that we could go to another day. In the next slide, I share the Broncos product ecosystem, which basically consists of publishing products to help financial institutions launch open APIs in about 8 weeks. And then our API aggregation products are mainly these are the main use cases for open finance in the Philippines, which are payment APIs for both domestic payments and remittances, data APIs for things like statement and identity verification, and even income and expense categorization, and then product APIs, which are actually product origination workflows end-to-end, like account opening through a third-party app, like what Gcash does with CIMB, where I can open a CIMB savings account inside the Gcash app. As well as other issues and products like a Visa card issuance that we've recently launched with Visa as their APAC open banking partner. This is an example of the recent lending partner where the customer gives consent. They demonstrate that they're the account holder at BPI, and then they authorize sharing of their BPI transaction history back to the lender so that the lender can score them. This is an example of payments API with Tonic Bank. Tonic is a digital-only neobank where they use Broncos to pull funds from their BDO account into their Tonic account. So inside the Tonic app, I can link my BDO bank and I can authorize a pull payment. For example, on payday, I can move my funds into my Tonic account where I'm earning a higher exchange rate or a higher interest rate and able to use Tonic Bank services. A couple other examples. In Singapore, there's a national ID called SingPass, and I can actually now use my SingPass to log into a bank app. So I don't have to use another type of registration. I don't have to go through another KYC process. I can just use my SingPass to go through the registration for a new bank account. Statement aggregation also works for corporate account data, for example, for accounting use cases. And then the last one I want to show is Tokopedia in Indonesia, where they're actually aggregating SME lending so that Tokopedia merchants can, all within the Tokopedia e-commerce app, can access SME financing products. So these are just a few of the different ways that Open Finance can enable product linking inside third-party apps and give more choices to customers. And that's what Broncos is all about.
Thanks, Todd. I feel bad that I'd like you to go into a lot more detail about this. There's a lot of deep material you are doing across the region. Now, Todd, there's, it can be confusing a bit, but the kinds of banks, let's say, that you are most dealing with, you mentioned BDO and so Neobank, I think you called it. Is there a certain category and type of banks? Are they mid-sized banks? Are they micro banks? What do you most?
It's a great question. Different banks have different reasons for participating in Open Finance. So the large banks already have the customer base. They already have the customer data. And so it's about being able to further monetize their existing customer base. So for example, the top 3 or 4 banks, their customers would love to use their bank account for easy e-commerce checkout, right? So that on a leading e-commerce site, they can just link their bank account at checkout and then offer a pay by bank feature, right? And that's an easy way for the banks to monetize, because actually it's a zero cost transaction to the bank. It's just a movement of funds from the customer's account into the bank account owned by the e-commerce site. But for the bank, they can charge something that is much lower than, for example, a credit card or over-the-counter payment. But they can charge directly and start offering e-commerce checkout options. That's just one example, right? They can also offer KYC, right? So identity as a service, so that I can use my e-wallet or my large bank account as a way to verify my identity when I'm logging into a third-party fintech app, right? Now, that's for big banks. For smaller banks, it's about being able to play a different game. So rather than building branches or rather than building new mobile apps, they can actually acquire new customers and serve those customers by partnering with fintechs. So the whole old way of customer acquisition and marketing and reaching a customer base online, you can do by partnering with fintech. So we see a lot of mid-size and smaller banks using Open Finance and the API technology to plug in to fintech partners and make those products available.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, Todd, non-bank financial organizations, insurance companies, they do want to do this a lot as well. Is that true? First of all, maybe you could talk a little bit about that, but also, will that be leading to a lot of overlap in services, which is good for competition, is it, or just make it more confusing?
No, I think it's a great point. And we have to remember, Richard, that 50% of Filipinos are unbanked. So if we talk about Gcash, for example, or Paymaya as leading e-wallets, or coins.ph, they are serving a customer base that may not be banked, and they're using their e-wallet as day-to-day online financial transactions. And the same goes for remittance companies. And we see the likes of Cebuana and Palawan now building basic banking and savings products accompanying their kind of branch network. So this is great. It's great for competition. It's great for introducing digital financial services to a retail customer base that may not even be banked yet. And I think in general, it oftentimes the non-bank financial service providers they don't have legacy infrastructure, so they can think kind of digital first about building new products and making APIs available to power fintech partners. So I think it's a great thing. When you say insurance companies, I think insurance companies are also starting to wake up to insurtech and making insurance products available either through digital agents or through making fintech partners effectively their agent model, where fintechs can offer a marketplace of insurance products, or even just embedded into an e-commerce product themselves. So we're seeing a little bit of this unbundling too, where kind of the normal feet on the street model for insurance is moving online, and not just moving online, but moving distribution through fintech partners.
Yes, it is. That is another big move. Todd, you mentioned you're based in Philippines, and I really thought you were based in Singapore. You seem like a sharp guy. You could be based anywhere. What's the deal with Philippines?
I think 2022 is the year of Philippines fintech, and we've already seen some big investments. I think what's most exciting about the Philippines is, number one, you have the digital banks entering now with the digital bank licensing regime. You have the non-bank financial services leaders like the e-wallets really taking off. But you also have the Philippines, which is the home to the play-to-earn crypto economy, and of which there are supposedly more than 3 million daily active users. And so these are new unbanked population that are learning crypto as their first set of financial products. And so it's the merging of crypto and traditional financial services. It's non-bank fintech starting to compete with traditional banks, and just a lot of capital coming in to support new players and expansion of digital first fintechs. And so all of that's been coming together the last 6 months.
Wow, that is okay. Well, Todd, we want to see you really do some great stuff here. It's nice to see, the country attracting sharp young guys like you doing interesting stuff. It's really going to make an impact. And if we could get that 50% unbanked number down to 5%, boy, that would be a great legacy to leave the world, if I can give you that kind of inspirational message. Thanks, Todd. Really nice to
Richard.
have you with us, and keep up the fantastic work you are doing.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
And our next guest, we are very pleased to have the CTO of Insular Life, Gwen Kelly, is with us. Insular Life, if you don't know, this is the largest Filipino life insurance company in the nation. And Gwen has really made a big name for herself in the insurtech world in the country. And certainly in life, what I call it, in life or Insular Life, is certainly the leader in this. So please welcome Gwen Kelly, the first Vice President and CTO of Insular Life. Glad to have you, Gwen.
Magandang araw, Richard, and a good day to all who are watching this forum today. Thank you for having me here. I have built my career around these two passions, insurance and tech, and it's a 100% matched with what Insular Life represents, a life insurance company who exists for the Filipino, adopting world-class technology. We believe in our mission of advancing for everyone to have life insurance as part of our commitment to empower and ensure the well-being of our people, our members, and the community we serve. People have doubts about insurance because as you talk about life insurance, you have no way of going around a discussion on sickness or death. It's uncomfortable, even morbid for most, but really, everyone gets sick and everyone will eventually reach end of life. And it is our responsibility to be concerned and be prepared about these things. For me, top 3 reasons for having life insurance would be, first, medical expenses can deplete your savings. Employer-sponsored insurance coverage is usually not enough. Burial costs add up. And savings during a crisis, we need this. Loss of a job, closure of a business. Again, during this pandemic, many were in this situation. We advocate for everyone to have life insurance because life insurance brings peace of mind in the present and financial benefit in the future. So how does technology play a part in this advocacy for insurance? Latest programming technology, cloud computing, mobile technology, and the spreading rise of platforms and ecosystems are allowing insurers to first expand the market, second, lower costs, and third, provide better user experience. We are able to reach more people through participation and partnerships with digital platforms with the use of cloud technology and reusable APIs. Just last month, we launched our in-life products in Elsa Care. It's an e-commerce platform that's based out of Spain and whose target are Filipinos living and working there. Insular Life and Insular Healthcare are now able to offer health insurance for our OFWs who want to purchase coverage for their loved ones here in the country. I talked about lowering costs, again, through reusable APIs, cloud and low-code or no-code programming. These help push down operational costs for developing solutions and deploying products in a much faster pace. We are able to offer better priced products that make it more cost-friendly to the rest of the population who remains to be uninsured. Our existing offerings in platforms like Lazada, GCash, and Union Bank Online are very affordable products which aim to introduce the uninsured to the value of insurance coverage or further expand coverage to those who are already insured. Through technology, we are able to create better, safer, and more secured experiences for our employees, partners, and our members. In the past 2 years, we were able to accelerate our digital transformation by quickly adopting new technology and focusing on ensuring work or business continuity despite the lockdowns brought about by the pandemic. In the past quarter alone, we were able to launch 3 self-help platforms. 3Boss, our mobile app for members. This allows them to view their policies and the values of their investment funds through their mobile phones. In-Life Pay Facility is first in the industry self-help portal that allows our members to pay for the premiums of their policies via our website anytime online. And then we also launched online claims just last month. It transforms the claims process to provide a self-help portal for members to submit claims notices and requirements online. For our partners, our financial advisors, we have made the recruitment process more seamless by introducing the e-licensing system, which is also a self-help portal developed through low-code programming and using API and robotic process automation technologies. We also deployed a mobile app for our financial advisors called Compass. This digitalizes their leads management, day-to-day sales activities, and performance tracking. With the adoption of these new technologies and our continuous pursuit of innovation and agility, IDG NCIO 75 recognized In-Life through me to be included in the top 75 senior technology executives in Southeast Asia and Hong Kong, driving innovation, strengthening resiliency, and influencing rapid changes in the region. What should we look out for in 2022 and beyond from tech in the insurance space? According to Gartner's 2021 Innovation in Crisis Survey, the disruptions encountered in 2020 acted as a catalyst for insurance CIOs, and this is true. As a result, new priorities, obstacles, and opportunities have emerged. We will see more deployment of solutions using artificial intelligence and machine learning, RPA, OCR or optical character recognition, and technology supporting customer experience and the transformation of core insurance systems. Technology investments will likewise increase in customer experience technologies, cloud transformation, business intelligence, and data analytics, and the Internet of Things. In this era, we are seeing autonomous cars, contactless payments, and chatbots that advise and assist people from the mundane to the more important tasks as planning for their financial well-being. Amidst all these advancements and disruption, tech insurance leaders need to stay focused on why we do what we do. In creating solutions, products, pursuing transformation and innovation, the vision must be to include everyone in the transformation. The user experience should be better, personalized, and safe, and the aim is to provide positive outcomes. Again, thanks for having me.
Very good. Thank you, Gwen. And now, Gwen, I know we talked a little bit before you spoke, and I was surprised you have such a large software development group creating all kinds of apps and so forth. Out of all the projects you've worked on, what was the area where you had the most success? Keeping in mind to people listening, there's so many different steps to the whole insurance. I mean, there's recruiting of agents, there's the whole underwriting process, there's claims, it just goes on and on. Which area did you really have the biggest impact, would you say, Gwen?
During the start of the pandemic in March 2020, we were able to immediately launch another automated process we call In-Life 5. It allowed our sales agents or financial advisors to be able to continue with their business, selling life insurance despite the hard lockdowns during that time. Nobody was allowed to go out. But because of the digital capabilities we were able to provide to them, they were able to continue with what they were doing.
How far will this go, do you think? Will there ever be a time when agents won't be meeting people in person? Is this where we're headed to? Or does that personal touch still require? What do you hear from the people you deal with?
For us presently, the strategy is really to go where the customers go, or approach them in the way they prefer to be approached. So some people, like the Gen Y, Gen Z would somehow prefer to be informed or trained digitally, but then there would be people who would still want the personal touch, the face-to-face interactions of having them taught what the value of the products and experiences you are offering to them face-to-face. Yeah.
Yes, I see. And now this is all leading to a lot of overlap with other financial institutions like banking type products. Do you think this is going to continue, Gwen? Would InLife offer what I would call banking-like products, or you're going to stick to what do you see for the future, Gwen?
Yeah, I think we call in our internally we call it the strategy of partnership. So we're partnering with banks, with e-commerce platforms, with Lazada. It's where you buy all stuff, right? But we're partnering with these platforms because, as I mentioned, we want to be able to expand further and reach the people who are present in these platforms.
I see. So, Gwen, can you explain though? Now, Lazada is mainly for selling products. Everybody knows. What are you doing with Lazada? That's really a big surprise, a big innovation.
So we sell insurance products in Lazada. So very affordable products in Lazada. Yep, we've been present there, I think, for going to 4 years already. So with that, with the developments we did there, like we utilize reusable APIs, and as I mentioned, cloud technology. We are able to reuse those technologies to in future partnerships. Like we continued that work with GCash. So we're also now in GCash and with UBP Online.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, Gwen, we're looking forward to seeing how things go for the future, but that is really exciting. And thank you again. That was Gwen Kelly from InLife. And we go to our next guest is Pia Arellano. She is the CEO of TransUnion Information Systems. And if you don't know, this is the country's first comprehensive private credit bureau. And really a big pioneer for the industry. This is a large organization with a lot of experience doing this for many, many decades across 30-some countries in the world and so forth. So it was a big boost to the industry and to Philippines to have them come here. So Pia has a good background with previously with Visa, working across the region, Philippines and Guam, and I'm sure other places. So a good history and a good background. So please welcome Pia Arellano of TransUnion. Glad to have you, Pia.
Thank you, Richard. And hello, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be with all of you today in the Ultimate FinTech Forum. TransUnion is a global information and insights company that makes trust possible, so consumers and businesses can transact with confidence and achieve great things. We call this information for good. It's our purpose and what drives us every single day. Fintechs are a key pillar in accelerating financial inclusion. And today, I couldn't be more honored and excited to share with you how exactly TransUnion can support fintechs in driving this very noble cause. If there's a positive impact brought about by the pandemic, it's the acceleration of digital adoption in terms of e-wallet usage, e-commerce, and the latest buy now, pay later, all supported by our progressive BSPs, 70% banked by 2023 financial inclusion target. With this digital acceleration, fintechs are faced with both challenges and opportunities, such as further conversion of cash-heavy customers and granting credit to the over 50 million who remain unbanked. Fintechs are likewise all the more challenged now with continued pressure from the government to ensure compliance to data privacy, fraud prevention, and AML compliance. Lastly, according to TransUnion's latest Consumer Pulse survey, 47% of Filipinos said that they will be unable to pay for their bills and loans due to the pandemic. Moreover, Majority of these who said that they would be unable to pay are actually millennials. These digital savvy millennials targeted by fintechs today also mentioned in the survey that they have been targeted by digital fraud in the last 3 months. Now imagine, what if we could identify good new to credit and unbanked from the rest with confidence and offer a friction-right process? We conducted mystery shopping exercises with many of the top banks in countries around the world where TransUnion operates. And what we consistently found was that online applications look more like digital versions of offline processes, with consumers being forced to enter 15 to 40 fields of information, not making the experience very different from face-to-face processes in physical branches. To say the least, the experience was clunky, time-consuming, and at most times, very frustrating. Most online applications today offer no instant gratification through real-time fulfillment and activation. Unfortunately, this is a trap we see many organizations fall into in their digital transformation journey. The first inclination is to automate an existing crappy process, pardon the word, and call it digital. In so doing, however, all you get is a digital crappy process. Digital, yes, but still crappy. Players typically fall across a wide continuum of digital onboarding capabilities. And this is where TransUnion comes in. TransUnion can help support fintechs further to move from high friction to seamless credit onboarding, optimizing customer experience and business efficiency. TransUnion's digital onboarding platform is an end-to-end solution that can enable fintechs to balance customer experience with fraud and credit risk, enabling seamless straight-through processing. Our modular platform is backed up by TransUnion's trended data, alternative data, and other external data sources like AML checklists, empowering digital lenders to seamlessly onboard and assess the creditworthiness of this new-to-credit unbanked segment that fintechs are targeting heavily. We at TransUnion have tested various alternative data and have identified that repayments and telco behavioral data have the highest predictive power. In the Philippines context, as majority of the Filipinos own mobile phones, mobile telco data is the most logical alternative data to use given its predictive strength. And basically what that means is we now have the capability to score every adult Filipino in the population. Imagine the power if lenders had access to both formal trended data that TransUnion brings and alternative data and scores. Based on our testing, the integration of telco data, such as mobile reloads and payments, usage transactions, location and device data used, can really be very effective in predicting creditworthiness. Combined with our formal trended credit bureau data, lenders are now able to derive maximum holistic insights on every consumer's creditworthiness. Now, we call this solution Credit Vision Link, and it is the only one-stop shop credit solution in the market today. Based on our backtesting, lenders will now be able to score all Filipino adults who own mobile phones. As per our validation tests, our Credit Vision Link score has the potential to lift score accuracy by at least 2x versus traditional formal scorecards, and enables credit eligibility and approval of at least 60% of new-to-credit and thin file segments, while keeping bad and loss rates at a very low, less than 5%, making the invisible visible for greater financial inclusion. TransUnion empowers fintechs to say yes to the credit invisible more often by providing access to rich, trended alternative data for loans and BNPL underwriting, inclusive of alternative scoring and loan-to-value affordability checks. We can also enable fintechs to lower false positives by up to 50 to 70%, detect email, mobile number, device risks, forgeries, and provide access to watch lists monitored both locally and globally. And despite all these rigorous fraud checks, our commitment is to enable all of this via a streamlined consumer experience with an end-to-end onboarding promise of 5 minutes or less, resulting in reduced abandonment, and all delivered in a nice little bundle package via a single API open platform. And it doesn't just stop with digital onboarding. Once a first loan is granted, limitless credit opportunities can be enjoyed by the unbanked and new to credit, as TransUnion will continuously work with all of you, providing you with insights and data so that you can manage your customers throughout their credit lifecycle. TransUnion also supports financial and credit education by enabling consumers to directly access their credit reports and scores to enable them to manage their finances, improve their chances of getting approved by a loan. By getting access to credit, Filipinos can achieve their dreams in the new digital normal, be it owning a house, owning a car, earning extra income by being a Grab driver, or even starting your own home-based business. Better credit education for consumers benefits the entire ecosystem as it encourages Filipinos to be financially responsible so that they can reap the rewards and opportunities that credit brings, thereby enabling fintechs, again, to increase approval rates and say yes to more unbanked Filipinos. TransUnion's mission is to promote information for good. And, though COVID has not left us completely, we remain hopefully optimistic that better days are definitely ahead. And if businesses and consumers could really just fully leverage on the power of information, together we can drive financial inclusion to ensure that together as one nation, we can really make more deliberate choices that will propagate inclusive growth with one singular vision in mind, that not one Filipino will ever get left behind.
Very good. Thank you very much, Pia. Yeah, that is so exciting because this will really make the difference, the tipping point kind of thing that you provide. Now, Pia, what kinds of things, you mentioned millennials are key for the fintech industry, and I know your people are telling me that it's really become an explosive opportunity on the fintech side, but you mentioned mobile phone behavior. Can you go into that a bit more detail? What are the kinds of things that people do other than just regular bills and payments that indicate whether they will be a good payer or not?
Actually, we found that mobile telco behavior is really a great proxy, right? Especially for these new to credit millennials or just anyone who is new to credit in general. I think that's sort of become the problem. They want credit, they are hungry for credit. However, as much as our lenders want to provide credit, there is no information or no previous credit or track record to begin with. So I guess the best solution that we've found thus far is really mobile telco behavior. And there you have repayment behavior, whether if postpaid, you have repayment behavior. If it's prepaid, you have loading behavior. So that has proven to be a very effective proxy. And once you're in, foot in the door, right? Coupled with traditional trended credit data, really the result is something very, very powerful.
Interesting. And now, Pia, you mentioned the number 50 million people are unbanked. What is it going to take for that to become 5 million? Or what's the rate? How is Philippines doing in bringing those people online?
I think, Richard, we're very well on our way. We're definitely very much on our way. I always say this, it takes a village. It really takes not just one player, but the entire village, the entire ecosystem of players in our digital economy. And that begins from the top. And very fortunately, we have a great progressive BSP who is most supportive. I also feel that the fintech players are critical, very critical and crucial in terms of accelerating, right, this goal of 70% banked by 2023.
Sorry, that was 70% banked by what year?
2023, I believe, is the BSP target. Wow. It's ambitious, yes. But again, it takes a village. And if we all just come together, again, leveraging on the power of data, this could happen.
I see. Okay. And now with fintechs, now I know the financial sector is a big, focus for your service. Are there other industries that should be considering your service?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking that, Richard, because in the Philippines, we are known primarily as a credit bureau, being the first private comprehensive credit bureau in the market. However, in my introduction, I said that TransUnion is a data information and insights company. So we go beyond credit. In our more mature markets, we are in different verticals, not just credit and lending. We cater to insurance, we cater to healthcare, we cater to the public sector. It really cuts across because essentially what we do is aggregate information and use that information for good to provide opportunities and open doors.
I see. All right, Pia. Well, really nice to talk with you, Pia, and we're so glad you're doing what you're doing. I know it's an exciting time, but anyway, we'll see how it all transpires, but keep up the great work you're doing. We look forward to seeing you more in the future. Let's go to our next guest. This is Teji Herbosa, the CEO of PhilPax. The full name is Philippine Payments and Clearing System. Teji made a heck of a big name for himself in the e-commerce field, in particular looking after farmers and fishermen, which, I mean, not known as, you know, the leading edge of technology, but he brought them to it with his system. So B2BPriceNow.com is one, and it really made a breakthrough for this sector, and it's become the official marketplace of the Philippines for the agricultural and fisheries sectors, and endorsed by the government, different divisions and so forth, and has made a big name bringing government units online and into technology. So with a really interesting story, please welcome Teji Herbosa, the CEO of PhilPax. Glad to have you, Teji.
Thank you very much, Richard. As Richard said, PhilPax is a Philippine payments and clearing system. Our main focus will be government online payment, actually GovTech, RegTech, regulatory tech, which is also big because a lot of people are very excited about e-commerce, online payment, but they forget that they also have to be compliant with the government, especially with the Bureau of Internal Revenue, because every time you derive income from sales of goods or services, you must issue an EOR. So for PhilPax, we started creating an e-commerce marketplace for agriculture. And we did it with Land Bank because, as you know, Land Bank is also a government bank that is focused on the agriculture sector. But later on, Land Bank asked us if there's anything we can do online to help them. And Land Bank, as you know, being the official depository of the Philippine government, has all the national government agencies in their accounts. And since they are the only bank that is in all 81 provinces, then all the monies of all the local government units are with Land Bank. So that's about 1,700 LGUs. And so with Land Bank, we created the LinkBiz portal, which is the government payment portal. It took us 3 years to build it with Land Bank, but it's in operation. As a matter of fact, Governor Jokno of the BSP said that because of this pandemic, government online transaction went up by 5,000%. So, we were happy with that, except that one day Land Bank was called by BAR, and they said, "Can you please come to our office?" And it's about this EOR, and we said, "What is this EOR? The Electronic Official Receipt?" Because we didn't know anything about it, and so we went with Land Bank to BAR, and very frankly, BAR said to Land Bank, "You're a government institution, you're a government bank, you have merchants in the LinkBiz portal, both government and private sector, but you are not helping them in their issuance of the electronic official receipt. So basically, you guys are the biggest enabler of tax evaders." So right away, what happened was that BAR helped us for a year and a half to build the EOR. And what's unique with our EOR is that PhilPax is the only company that has a BAR-compliant electronic official receipt that is a component. So what does a component mean? A component means it does not compute. It can connect to any accounting system. For large taxpayers that are using CAS or computerized accounting system, we can connect to them. If they're using loose leaf POS, we can connect to them. If they are using manual, we can connect to them. So basically, that has been the focus of our company, not only to provide an EOR for the merchants of Land Bank, the private sector, but then we found out that BAR's EOR is only for the private sector. So now I have to work with COA to build the government EOR for government payments. No? So we have several clients already. I mean, actually on the EOR side, one of which is Singlife. If you go to G-Insure, you can buy insurance there that's Singlife, and the EOR that comes out is our EOR. The train law, which was passed in 2018, will take full effect in January 2023. So that's about 10 months from now. And as you know, the government lacks funds. So they're going to be very strict because they're even running after YouTubers, for their income. So what more for large taxpayers that are accepting payments online and not issuing any electronic official receipt? Because by law, if you, for every act of omission that you don't issue a receipt, whether it's a physical receipt because you got paid cash in the counter, or electronic receipt because you got paid online, that's a 1,000 peso penalty, up to 50,000, or even 2 years of imprisonment. So for our clients, basically, we tell them you can use our EOR, which is already accredited. We can help you. You can go through. We can get it up and running in a month or two, or you can build your own. But if you have to build your own, there's a problem. You have to build it and then get it accredited in the next 10 months alongside the 2,755 large taxpayer that all need to have it compliant by January of 2023. So basically, just telling everybody this is what's on the ground, that everybody should be aware that if they want to engage in an e-commerce, online payment play, make sure that they're also compliant to the regulations of BIR. So thank you very much.
Okay, very good, Teji. Yeah, I've never heard your story before, but you've done a lot of work. How did you first get into working with farmers and fisher folk in your early days, Teji?
Well, the company is really more like a social venture when it was not yet popular. So we started in 2000, and I just saw that the biggest pain really is that how do you get the agriculture sector, the cooperatives, the farmers to appreciate being online? And so the best really is to have an e-commerce marketplace, but they're very fragmented. It's very difficult to reach to them, and that's why we partnered with Land Bank, because Land Bank, that's their natural market, because they already lend to the cooperatives. So might as well help them sell online so that if they can sell, they can pay back Land Bank. But the other good thing also is that within the Land Bank ecosystem, you have all the cooperatives that have account in Land Bank. You have SMEs and even some legal corporations that have account in Land Bank. So you can really do an online transaction within the agriculture sector in Land Bank. So we started with agriculture sector, but then one day Land Bank told us, can you help us with our other sectors? And I said, what's your other sector? I said, well, we're the official depository of the Philippine government. And that was just wow, because you could just imagine the volumes of transaction of everybody having to get their birth certificate, passport, land titles, property tax, business permit. So just with government online payment, we're already stuck. Basically, just trying to catch up, because we have to have experience wherein a person can see their MMDA traffic violation online, pay it online, and get a receipt online. So it's a full end-to-end solution, but our focus is government online.
Some people will say that the government is difficult to work with, not because there's bad people. There's very good people in government, but when there's so many fingers and so many people who need to be, have an opinion and so forth, it just makes it extremely difficult. How do you get through all of this? I mean, what are some of the challenges, and how do you manage that, Teji?
So the good thing is that we're working with Land Bank. So it's Land Bank who is talking to their clients, which are the local governments and the national government agencies. So we are like the technology partner of Land Bank. These are their clients already, and it's just a matter of them telling the mayors, would you like to accept payments online? Because we don't want the people to crowd our 400 branches just to pay their government obligation. It's very expensive to maintain branches. So what we've created with Land Bank is a payment portal so that everybody doesn't have to go to the Land Bank branch. They can just go to the Land Bank payment portal and pay.
I see. Well, good for you, Teji. That's a real big breakthrough. I've noticed, I think a lot of people have noticed where you can pay more for government services online. So you are the main guy behind most of these things. Is that right, Teji?
So of course the proponent, the driver is Land Bank, but our company created the link-based portal of Land Bank. We did it 100%.
Is that right?
So yes, but I cannot take the credit. It's really Land Bank who initiated it, and we're just like the value-added service provider for them.
I see. Good for you in any case, Teji. That is a really big breakthrough and really going to make a big impact. So yeah, so thank you again, Teji. Really good day. Hopefully we can have you back again. I sure would be interested to hear more about your other projects. I don't know, the fishermen and farmers. That's just so exciting. God, that you're able to do that 20 years ago. Thank you again, Teji. Really glad to have you with us. All right, everyone, that was the Ultimate FinTech Forum 2022, and I hope everyone feels better about what's in store for the future. It's all going to be good, but we just got to learn and implement what is going on all around us and what our customers will want. Suppliers, everybody's going to be asking for this stuff. So we have to get implementing right now. So we'll see y'all soon. And glad to have you with us for the Ultimate FinTech Forum 2022.